All right, folks, get comfortable. Scott Wilson, Will Castle, and yours truly sat down for some NFL talk. We use PredictionMachine.com, free plug, as they predicted everybody's record by the end of the year, if I can spit that out. We used that to determine, are they right, are they wrong, and what do we think? And we talked just general NFL as well. Scott Wilson, Will Castle, Bob Alvis, NFL Talk. Chew on this on the Sports Buffet podcast. The NFL Hall of Fame weekend is this weekend, which means preseason football gets underway on Sunday with the Saints and the Cardinals. Who's calling that game, by the way? Is it on NBC? Because if so, they're too short of a pair.
I'm pretty sure it's not going to be on NBC this year. It's a good question, though.
Good thing Scott Wilson printed out a schedule for me before he came in. It's not on NBC.
CBS.
It's on the NFL Network.
Oh,
so they get,
which is not showing any Olympic coverage.
Which means they have people available.
Yeah.
Cardinals and the Saints on Sunday from Canton. And to show you how up to date I am on the Hall of Fame, I don't even know who all is going in this class except for Curtis Martin.
Don't they try to have
I think
one of the players from one of the teams that's playing in the game in that?
I don't think they have any. Well,
so I think when the Redskins had Darryl Green and Art Munko when they played in the Hall of Fame game.
Well, I don't know of any Saints or Cardinals going in this year.
Okay.
That I know of, unless one of the linebackers from the Saints is going in. I know Curtis Martin's going in.
It's not Jonathan Billman, so.
No, I don't think he hasn't paid enough yet. He's got a bounty on a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Are you looking this up?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll just talk about the career of Curtis Martin, and while you do that, great running back for the Jets, good running back for the Patriots as well. I think he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he seemed to be one of those kind of underappreciated guys who never got, he didn't have the flash, and the Jets weren't very good when he was on their
Well, they made the AFC title game that 1 year when they played
1 year
Denver.
is not.
Well, but you've got to remember they were in influx because that's whoever they had coaching before Parcells. And then once they got Fortuna, I think Al Groh was. I thought Al Groh was after Bill.
Yeah, he was because they called it. Yeah.
So
yeah, they saw. Who was? Yeah. But he was on. Martin was on Mike and Mike this morning. He was saying that that he was not a big fan of football.
Yes, I have heard that.
That it just kind of fell into his lap, and then he gives a lot of credit to Parcells. He's saying his career wouldn't have been anything with Parcells. Is credited a lot.
Then preseason will get underway Thursday. Is it too early for football in your opinion? I know ESPN, aka the NFL Network 2, doesn't think it's ever too early for football.
I mean, I don't have football on top of my head right now. I mean, maybe that has to do with the Olympics being on, but I mean, I generally will watch one quarter of one game in the preseason.
Well, you're a very good sports fan because you transition in seasons like all of us should. You are interested in baseball, I assume now. You'll be interested in the Ryder Cup or you're still interested in those piddly tournaments.
Yeah. The PGA Championships next week.
And is it really?
Yes,
wow.
It's early this year.
And the Ryder Cup, so you like those other things. And then you transition into football when the time's appropriate.
I mean, it's like, when you're in the middle of the Final Four week, I'm not thinking about the baseball season starting.
Are you thinking about the Masters?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you see about 17,000 promos for it.
I was going to say, do you know Dallas is on TNT, by the way, now? And I saw about 70,000 promos for that during the NCAA tournament.
Okay, you're not sure.
The floating head of Larry Hagman or something.
So how about Curtis Martin? Man, he was a great runner for the Jets and the Patriots.
What's your answer to your question about preseason and whether you're thinking about football?
I don't know. I mean, I'll turn on and watch a little bit, but wow, the Saints have to turn around and play Thursday. Oh, wow, Sunday and Thursday for the Saints. Whew. I'll tell you put bounties on people, you do get punished.
Who's coaching those preseason games? Can Vic coach?
Yes, I think Vic can coach. Roger Goodell apparently has a bounty on the Saints now, putting them playing Sunday and Thursday.
Who is their interim coach?
I thought it was Carmichael, but I might be wrong.
I think Deacon's coordinator. All right.
No, it's not Spagnuolo.
All right, so Hall of Fame. Jack Butler.
Former GM for the Bills and Chargers.
Let's
No,
just
wait,
skip
that's
him.
John Butler. Never mind.
Let's see here.
Jack Butler, identify yourself, please. Please stand, unless you're dead.
I think he played for the Steelers.
Okay. Next,
Dramani Dawson.
Pittsburgh Steeler, I believe.
Um,
Pretty sure of that one.
Chris Dolman.
Minnesota Vikings defensive end.
Cortez Kennedy.
Seattle Seahawks nose tackle.
Curtis Martin. Willie
Identify
Rolfe.
him. Who?
Willie Rolfe.
Oh, Willie Rolfe. That is the Saints.
There you
Wait.
go.
Yeah. I think it's a.
Well, nobody got in from the Cardinals.
I thought he said
Yes.
Warner Wolf.
Neil Lomax, nor Boomer Esiason. Boomer's not in there, is he?
No, I don't think so.
You know, interesting topic before we get back into NFL talk. In terms of Hall of Fames, and I guess every Hall of Fame is different, but do you need to look at numbers to determine if somebody's in, or do you go, is your primary avenue numbers, or is it the old, what I call head and eye test of if you can identify them just by, if I said Chipper Jones, you don't need to look at the numbers to identify him as a Hall of Famer or not. Do you go off that, or do you go by the numbers?
I say I test first, and then I look at the numbers. Although I think in baseball you look at the numbers more than any other sport.
Well, and the football, with all due respect, baseball's Hall of Fame, I think, is the most important. I mean, everybody can tell you who's pretty much a baseball.
People are concerned
Hall of
about
Famer.
history in baseball more than...
Yeah.
Right. Well, baseball's it's a national pastime. It's a historical sport where the NFL
Well,
and basketball.
remember Gumbel said at the end of Real Sports, he's talking about
Basketball you can get in
Hall
without
of
even being
Fame.
retired.
No, it's not really. It's a little more the Hall of Achievement, or and such. It went on some. Gumbel
Yeah, I didn't
rant
really
about,
understand what he was
I
driving
quick
at.
figure out his point too. But Curtis Martin gets in this year. He is in the top. He's in the top 10 running backs of all time for yards. There's only one, with the exception of LT, who's just retired. There's only one other player, top 10 in rushing, that's not in the Hall of Fame, who has retired long enough to where he could be. Can you name them?
You want to guess first?
I have nothing so far. You're the stats guy.
Top 10 in rushing. How far back? I need a hint on this one.
And what do you mean, how far back? They
How long
retired.
ago did they play?
They retired in 05. I didn't think. For some reason, I didn't think it was 05 and that person retired. But what are you looking at the preseason schedule?
I'm looking at the team, hoping it'll jog my memory.
But
Well, I was going to say Ricky Williams, but he didn't retire in 05.
what led me
He's
to
still active.
when I saw that, I'm like, oh, there'll be something interesting to bring up. It is
Fred Taylor.
No.
No, he's playing past then, I think.
Who is it?
You want to take a shot at?
All right, hang on.
Go for it,
Larry
Mr.
Johnson.
5-second rule.
Larry Johnson. Scott, you want to guess? I'm guessing all the wrong ones here.
No.
Okay.
The bus.
Jerome Bettis.
Yeah.
Huh, interesting. Thought he was in. Go on.
But I was thinking, I think this our generation is kind of lucky in the fact that we can, we have a good grasp of the past, and we were alive during, like they had Peyton, or some of us, Peyton,
Walter or Manning?
Walter,
Okay. Are we talking about running back?
Barry,
still?
yeah,
Okay.
Barry, and
Sanders?
yes,
Okay.
um,
Might have Foster, a word.
Okay. It's one of those, you look up and you say, who's the greatest running back? Okay, technically Emmett has the most yards, but no, I don't consider him the greatest running back. But let's say the next generation and the generation after that has never seen these runners play. They're only either look at archive film or they're just going to see stats and
Well, but I think that happens with all sports too, because how can people?
But the stats are getting so inflated in football.
yeah.
People are going to have to tell their sons at some point, no, son, Ivan Rodriguez was not a better catcher than Johnny Bench. Or, so-and-so wasn't a better third baseman than Mike Schmidt.
Yeah, but that was kind of bringing up when you were talking earlier with the Phelps and the greatest Olympian,
right?
Because he has the more medals.
But how many events has the Olympics grown in terms of swimming, though, or something like that? I know it's not really the point.
I don't think that it's really grown much. I think it's just people used to have specialties and would just swim the fly or the breaststroke, and now that I think they have added a lot more relays than they used to.
Back to the NFL. Sorry, I dozed. PredictionMachine.com. Please follow me on Twitter too, the Sports Buffet. Look your website up. You can look mine up. Facebook.com/sportsbuffet.
Assuming they're listening to this.
Sports Buffet. I'm going to mention them on Twitter probably. If not, you will.
Okay.
If you don't mind. Here we go though. They predicted the NFL for the whole season, records and everything. AFC East, AFC North, AFC South, AFC West, NFC East, NFC North, NFC South, NFC West, and the playoff winners all the way through.
Why did you just read off the list of the divisions?
Yeah, just in case anyone was not familiar with the divisions.
Then they shouldn't be listening to this.
Well, you never know. We might have family listening. I don't know. I'm still looking for mine, but anyway. The Super Bowl champions. Want to take a stab?
Not the Giants, is it?
No, but wouldn't it have been funny if it was the Baltimore Ravens? After I said, want to take a stab.
Too soon?
I'm in all week.
I'll go Green Bay.
I'll go Green Bay, too.
You're incorrect.
We're in the right conference.
Yes.
Not the 49ers.
Incorrect. Incorrect.
Eagles.
That is correct.
And
in the Super Bowl.
Pittsburgh Steelers.
Incorrect.
Same great conference.
That is correct. The Eagles over the Patriots in the Super Bowl. They have 3 teams finishing at 5-11.
That's the worst?
Yes.
I don't believe that.
It's true. You can look on the website.
Yeah, no, I'm saying I don't know.
Are we guessing who they think?
Sure, why not? Just for a few times. Just to humor.
How many's in what? How many? 2 in the AFC, 1 in the NFC? Or?
Other way around. 2 in the NFC, 1 in the AFC.
Buccaneers?
That's 1. Look at Will Castle.
St. Louis?
Nope.
What do they have St. Louis?
7-9. We're going to get to individual teams here in a moment. That's why we printed the schedule, just to cross.
I'm not going to guess the Redskins.
7-9.
Okay. Good.
Which I think is a little high, but we'll argue that in a moment. So far, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We have 1 more NFC and 1 AFC team.
Colts, AFC?
Yep, I would have picked the Browns personally, but they have them at 6-10. I think the Browns are on the clock actually for next year.
Is the other team in the West?
No, they have the Rams and the Cardinals both finishing at 7-9, and that would be quote unquote tied for last.
So the Seahawks are better than that.
Seahawks are 8-8. Niners are 9-7.
The Minnesota Vikings?
That is correct.
Oh,
at
okay.
5-11.
Good days.
We'll just run down the teams here real quick. If you have any disagreements, we'll get to those. Hold on one moment, though. You want one?
I'm good.
You want anything?
No. Intermission music.
All right. You want to start in the AFC or NFC? I'll let you pick.
Go
We'll
AFC.
We'll go AFC. Left side.
Tell us again what the divisions are.
Obviously, we'll finish.
Why do I have you as a panelist on here?
We're going to finish this up with the NFC East, so that'll be the last one, just because that's going to be the longest.
It's fine.
Let's start in the AFC West then.
Nope. We're going to start in the AFC East. We're going to work our way down and we're going to come back up. We're going to make a U. A U-turn. AFC East. Patriots finishing first at 11-5. I want to look at one thing on the schedule before we go on here. So
I'll buy 11-5. If they said 12-4, I'd have played in your cone crack. But
Scott, do you buy 11-5?
I think they could be better than that.
Tom Brady had a birthday, I think.
What did they finish last year? Like 13-3 or something? 14-2?
Tom Brady had a birthday either today or yesterday, and I think he turned 35.
Really?
And that would bring me to a question of, if you're the Patriots,
How much more time?
when do you
left
start
on the
looking?
clock?
Yeah, when do you start looking?
Who is their backup?
Don't know. Scott Zolak still around?
Don't know, don't care. Doug Flutie?
No, I mean, at one point, obviously, with Matt Castle, but I don't think he's. Last time I checked, he still has a starting job in KC.
I would say not yet, to answer your question.
Really, not even like in the maybe a 4th or 5th round at some point.
I feel like New England has been drafting quarterbacks in those sort of rounds.
Why can't we name them?
Because they're being drafted in those rounds.
I mean, it's one of those things is that, I mean, you're someone like Brady, you can't play for 10 more years. I honestly don't think they really start looking until he has a bad non-injury season.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay.
Second place, Buffalo Bills, 9-7. Tied with the Jets at 9-7, but they had Buffalo making the playoffs. Your thoughts? Shout out to Mike McClarney, our resident Bills fan.
Buffalo will find a way to cock this up.
I think the Jets could be a disaster.
But see, that's the thing. Is this 9-7 more of who is it insulting more? Is it insult? I mean, it's not insulting the Bills. I don't think at all.
No.
But is it 9-7 an insult to the Jets? If the Jets finish 9-7 and don't make the playoffs, is Rex out?
Yes.
Is Mark Sanchez with him?
I think it depends on who they get to coach.
I mean, first off, I think. Well, by the way, we'll get to that in a minute. But there could be another coaching opening coming up soon.
But but if you let's assume the Jets go 9-7, all right. When do they start losing? And then when do they? When is the all powerful?
You want to go over the Jets a little bit here?
When is the Savior's favorite child conversation going to start?
I think it's already started. But
All right.
But no, it shouldn't have started yet. But
Week 1, the Jets will play host to the Bills.
what do you?
Win-loss.
I think Buffalo wins. I think Buffalo wins, honestly. But
So you have here. We're gonna break down the Jets. Here, Scott says win. Bob says win. Will says loss.
You want me to do that so you can write?
I can multitask.
Okay.
It's probably good for job status at some point. Week 2 at Pittsburgh.
Loss.
Okay, we're unanimous on that. Week 3 at the Dolphins. They don't play well down there, but I just don't see it with Miami. I go win.
win.
I'll say loss to be different.
Week 4. Hosting the 49ers.
Loss.
I say win. We're going to have them like 13-3 somehow at the end of this thing. Week 5, the Texans on Monday night.
Where?
In New York, I'm sorry.
I'll say win.
Because it's early, I'm going to say loss. It's not enough time for Shaw to get hurt yet. So
I'm going to go win. Week 6, hosting the Colts.
Win.
I'm going loss.
Well, they're not going to be 13-3 then.
I only have them losing 2 so far.
All right. Well, they guess they're going to play New England twice.
Week 7, New England at New England.
Loss.
Week 8, Dolphins at home.
Win.
I'm going to go loss.
They have Dolphins at home.
Yep.
What week are we in at that
8.
point?
Do you need an exact date of the game?
No,
October 26th.
I'm trying to think. That's Saturday.
I'm sorry, 28th.
What time of day?
As of now, 1 o'clock.
I think Miami starts to get its act together, and I think that's a loss for the mighty Jets.
Week 9. Bye. Yes, bye. Week 10. Week 10 at Seattle.
I'll say loss.
As will I.
Really?
Yep.
Cross country.
Yep. You know how I am about
I know
those
you
things.
about
The
that.
Jets play
But
on the West Coast.
they're doing it from a bye week, which means they could leave early. I'm gonna go win.
We need to do this for every team. Let's make it a 5-hour podcast.
Beat the traffic. Leave early.
Are they driving to Seattle?
Week 11 at the Rams. They get back on track in that one for me. Win.
I'll say win too. Rams are terrible.
Win.
Now I have them losing 4 straight though at that point. So
that's where 13-3.
Yeah, that's where the wheels could come off. Week 12, Thanksgiving against New England at home. I'm gonna give them a win on that one.
I will too.
Nope. Lost.
Okay. Week 13, home against the Cardinals.
Say win.
I'm gonna go loss.
We're in week 13 at that
Week
point.
13,
All right.
December 2nd.
By then, they will either have given up or Tebow will be running it. I'm going to go loss, actually.
They are playing the Cardinals, I'd like to point out. Week 14 at Jacksonville. I'm going to give a win. I
I'm
don't
gonna
think
win.
Ronnie Bass can will the Jags to a win at that point.
Unless Rams running the ball.
I'll go loss.
All right. We have had, I think, 3 unanimous weeks in this whole thing. Week 15. Monday night affair in Tennessee.
I'll say win.
I'm going to go win as well. I just think
By
Tennessee's not
then,
good.
Tennessee's going to have Lockard as the quarterback at that point. They're going to.
Well, if the Jets might have Tebow.
Well, but
Tebow's.
I mean, who wins? Washington or Florida?
I'll go win.
Okay. Another unanimous one. Week 16. San Diego, home on a Sunday night.
Lost.
Interesting. There's no Monday night game that week.
There never is on week 16.
No, there never is on week 17.
Oh yeah, there's 17 weeks.
Was it Christmas?
Nope, 23rd. There's no Monday night game week 16 or 17.
So they want to play Christmas Eve.
Week 16, Chargers.
I say win. Norville screwed up.
I'm gonna go with win as well.
I'll say loss, just because
Week 7.
Norton needs something to win to keep his job. So
Week 17,
Buffalo.
at Buffalo. I'm gonna go loss.
I think they're playing lost.
I'll say loss too.
Okay.
How do we do?
Well, talk about the Jets for a minute while I'm adding.
If like I said, they don't make the playoffs, Rex is gone. I don't know about Sanchez, but the shine on Rex has worn off. The Glanville-esque. I'm a kooky character. That's
Except with profanity.
yeah.
I could see them going 6-10. And just having just the media circus, just getting.
You can see them going
Too
6-10.
large.
What do you think you have them going?
I don't know. You write
You're,
that up.
you're,
You have them. We both have them at 9-7.
Okay.
what do I have?
5-11.
We'll win.
Maybe we'll. I'll tell you what. Maybe we'll make predictions for all these teams and we'll put it on our blog sites to pump up the blog a little bit. We're not going to do it all tonight, though. Obviously. All right. Well, obviously
That was fun though.
I think when we get to a major disagreement, we will.
All right.
I think 5-11 obviously sends Rex on the way out.
97 might too.
It's just the fact that you're in.
So we had what they predicted.
Yes.
Sorry.
You're in New York. The other New York team has won a Super Bowl.
Are the Jets the Yankees or the Jets the Mets?
Just the Mets.
I think the Jets are the Yankees.
In what way are we're talking?
Where does the media circus float around in New York?
Because here's the way it's always.
No, I don't.
We're talking about off the
I'm not
field
talking
more
about
than-
the fan stuff.
On the field.
I'm not talking if you're a Yankees fan, you like the Giants, the Knicks, and the Rangers. No, I'm not talking about that.
Okay.
I'm talking with the media circus. Obviously, the Yankees are the show. The Mets are second. Are the Jets the show and the Giants second, or are the Giants the show and the Jets second? I think the Jets
Right
are
now,
the show
the Jets
right
are the
now.
show.
Jets are the show.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about right now. I mean, we're not talking about 5 years ago or 5 years from now. And I think like you guys have pointed out, Rex did the. It was funny at first. It was great at first. I still think they could be fine on Hard Knocks. I mean, Mike Sherman and Joe Philbin. I don't know how well they'll sock the ratings up, but
They're really up. I think they're up for Chad Johnson.
And the other thing too is with the Jets. Let's not blame all this on Mark Sanchez. Sean Green has been dismal as a running back at best.
Yeah.
I mean, so I think the Jets have more. I mean, I don't think Sanchez is a great quarterback. I think Sanchez is probably most comparable to a guy like Trent Dilfer or Brad Johnson, to where he's not in there to win it. He's in there not to lose it. He's a game manager type thing, but he doesn't have a running game around him to help out.
The worst part is, if I'm Sanchez, I almost want to get traded. I would want to get out of New York. Get to a place like Tennessee or Houston or Seattle, where, you know what, the expectations aren't so much.
But see, I think Sanchez is a spotlight player. I still think somebody's going to take him just because.
I don't think it's his personality, though.
He went to Southern Cal.
That's laid backville.
Yeah, but it's also Attentionville. And I think Mark likes the attention. So, I mean, if you don't like the attention, go to Seattle. They might need you if Matt Flynn bombs, which is entirely possible. Miami, they had them finishing at 6-10, 7-9 in that range. Some of these they had it. I was telling Will before, they had these teams at decimal points, and some of them
6.5.
Yeah, probably what it was. It was something to where it was kind of right on the border. Like we said, Patriots and Bills come out of that division. Has playoff teams according to PredictionMachine.com. AFC North, Steelers 10-6, they win the division. Baltimore finishes second, 9-7, the wild card. Bengals are third at 8-8, and the Browns are last at 6-10. And rumor has it, Browns have been sold to
$1 billion.
Yeah, which I find absurd. But anyway, but the guy that's bought him is he was a diehard Steelers fan. I think actually had a little bit of minority ownership in the team. And rumor has it that Mike Holmgren and Phil Hackett, the GM, could be out the door. And if they're out the door, I have a feeling that
when, like before the season,
whenever this guy gets. I mean, I don't think he's been approved now.
Okay.
But I mean, I don't think they would probably approve it until the owners have owners meetings again, which I don't think until after the season.
Over, yeah.
So, but if that happens, Pat Shurmur, I believe, is the head coach in Cleveland. He'd probably heading on a plane out of town too. I think the Browns are, horrible. I don't see how they don't pick first next year. I mean,
I think all of those numbers are too close to the middle.
Well, the best they had any team doing was 11-5. The worst they had any team doing was 5-11.
You can't commit. I don't see Baltimore 9-7.
Well, like I said,
I don't think Pittsburgh 10-6. I see them higher than that.
We will do the standings later for all of them on our blog site, but I do see Pittsburgh and Baltimore both getting to the playoffs. If the what did the Bengals last year? I should have written this down.
Were they 10-6 last year? Or because they were 9-7.
If the Bengals,
I think it was somewhere like 9.
If the Bengals go 8-8 this year,
they had a very favorable schedule.
Yeah.
If the Bengals go 8-8, and I say this, and it's going to sound weird, how much of a regression is it?
0.
Well, I mean, it's a 2-game regression.
Yeah, but against a tougher schedule, I have to imagine.
What? Yeah, Scott said. I don't, because they weren't expected to do as well as they did. Dalton did a little bit better than he was expected to.
Game manager, probably.
Yeah.
Do you like
Green?
Yeah.
Huh?
AJ Green.
Do you like the running back trade-off from Cedric Benson to BenJarvus Green-Ellis?
I just don't know how he's going to do outside of the Patriot system.
Yeah.
I almost see it as a wash.
I almost see it as a slight trade down to law firm.
Well, you got to remember, I like Benson a lot. I don't know. I mean, I kind of agree with what you guys are saying, though. I think if the Bengals go 8-8, I still think that
it would not surprise me if another running back in the Cincinnati system comes out from that takes over this.
Are there any free agents out there still that are not signed that could make an impact with somebody?
Tiki Barber?
As I said, are there any free agents out there that are not? Again, please take this seriously, folks. This is not a dog and pony show here. We take our sports seriously.
I don't know. I can't think of anything.
Okay, well, we'll have to check on that too.
It's Jeff George's.
I've lost all control.
Ryan Leaf not doing it.
I've lost all control. Ryan Leaf, I don't think he can play from prison. This is not the longest yard.
It's not the California Penal League.
Right. What was the guy's name? Paul
Crew?
Yeah, I don't think Paul Crew might be more valuable than Ryan Leaf at this point. AFC South, which I see is probably one of the worst divisions in football. Houston 10-6, Tennessee 7-9, Jacksonville 6-10, Indy 5-11.
It's Houston's to lose.
Yeah, I mean, just
They should do better
default,
than 10-6 against that division.
Yeah, I don't think Indianapolis gets 5 wins, honestly. But
I don't see Jacksonville getting 6 though either. So but when we break this down later, we'll probably have Jacksonville with like 12 or something, just because we don't.
Between us, maybe yes.
The AFC West.
It's an interesting division this year.
yeah,
Why don't you take a guess at who's first?
I'll say San Diego.
What's their record?
10-6.
I think they put Kansas City
What's their record?
11-5.
I thought you were going to say Denver.
Just
That might have been what I said, but guess what? They have 3 teams tied at 8-8 at the top.
well, it is the
Guess
West.
who it's not?
Oakland?
And they have Oakland at 7-9/8-8.
Again, too close to the mean.
I mean, first off, if the Peyton Manning experiment does not work out in Denver, how much of a failure is that?
Well, we won't know for 2 to 3 seasons.
We can argue it after one.
What's the bar for it, though? Is it playoffs? If you don't make the playoffs?
This year, playoffs, and I think win a game. Next year, Super Bowl.
What if Peyton struggles in the first 5-6 games? Do you think people say we'd rather have Tebow?
Oh, I'm sure some people will say that.
If they do, they're idiots.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing I'll say about Denver fans is that they are knowledgeable, because the people that were Tebow fans
weren't Denver fans.
They just liked the story, Denver fans, they won't go crazy until at the end of the year when if it looks like it's horrible. But they're doing a number 1 schedule this year. That's why I think, I think next year is, I think their best shot.
My thing is, no NFL team strikes fear into me this year. Right now, you come talk to me in week 4, week 5, but right now, to me, there's not a dominant team. To say the Eagles are going to win the Super Bowl, did they make an off-season move that I don't know about?
That's got a giant if.
Yeah, the belief with the Eagles is all the crap that they were supposed to have done last year, they finally got their brain and everything working together, and now this is the year for
Well, let's stay away from them because we'll get into them when we get to the AFCs. And don't forget, we have to do my